Okay, I'm going to do roll call. Garrett Greco,
Here.
Stephen Benson,
Here.
Bobby Creighton,
Here.
Bill Shapiro,
Here.
Ashley Morrow,
Here.
Rebecca Kurtz,
Here.
Alan Cone,
Here.
Kathleen Shanahan.
Here.
And she
Yep, you just said here. She heard us.
stay here?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ron,
sorry, my earbud dropped out.
and alternate Sue Carlson here, and Allison Hewitt here.
Good. Great, thank you. Dan, good evening. My name is Robert Henderson. I'm your facilitator for this next foreseeable future, several months of work. As a quick introduction, I actually am an employee of the county, but I've done a lot of strategic planning, professional facilitation, former consultant, and won't get into all the ifs and buts that got me to you, but I'm excited to meet you and work with you guys over the next several months. Patriots fan from New England, but haven't been up there in a long time. Just again, we'll get to talk more about today when we get into our agenda, but I'll keep us moving and I'll hand it to Mr. Tinkler and then let you guys have a chance to say hello.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ken Tinkler. I am your lawyer for the next several months. I'm with Carlton Fields. Background on me, I've had 2 jobs, 9 years in Hillsborough County and now almost 20 with Carlton, working on local government issues. Dealt with the Charter Review Board over at the county. I've been their conflict counsel since I left the county, just in case the county attorney has a conflict that comes up. Just so you know, I only represent this group while you're in existence. I have a dual phase engagement here because the city likes to be complicated. So that you're phase 1. I'll just be representing you. I don't represent the mayor, the council, or anybody else. When you conclude your work, my representation shifts over to the council because they wanted to have outside counsel to handle any preparation of charter amendments that you may recommend, and they may decide to move both. So just want to make sure you understood the 2 phases and that you're my only client at this point when it comes to the charter. Here we go.
That's good. Maybe we can work our way around the table and we got me back to join us virtually. Stephen, if I can start with you.
Sure. Stephen Benson, great to meet everybody. I'm a 3rd generation Tampa native, very proud of that. I'm a professional urban planner for a consulting firm here in Tampa, and I'm looking forward to contribute to this commission based upon my experience, including as a state of Florida employee, as well as a civil service employee at the city formerly, and a exempt senior staff member of the city as well. So thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bobby Creighton. I have the pleasure of knowing quite a few of you already, or at least having briefly been introduced. And it's hard to contain my excitement for this opportunity. It's something I've been preparing for quite a while, and I'm very eager to get started in the work. Professionally, I'm a speech language pathologist, so very different than what you might expect, in terms of government know-how. But I feel over my past, 5, 6, 7 years, maybe even close to a decade, depending on where you have the starting point, that I have shown I can dive into issues and that, it's something that I think is a skill of mine. So as I said before, very excited to start and hear everybody's perspective and learn from everyone here who will have a different perspective than me.
Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say, everybody. I'm Ron Cristaldi. I'm the president of the Shoemaker Law Firm, and I had the honor of serving on the previous Charter Review Commission 10 years ago. And the reason probably that we're all here today because it was set periodic review of the charter, and 10 years we decided that it would be good to do it every 10 years, and 10 years has gone by fast. It's really an honor to be with this prestigious group.
Hello, my name is Ashley, and I am a fiscal director at Tampa, District 5, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone. Currently, I am a full-time photographer. I have my I guess, background in researching and sharing a lot of history here in Tampa, Tampa's Black history specifically. And, yeah, we work with everybody.
I'm Rebecca Kurt. I'm an attorney in private practice that specializes in land use, but my background is in local government. I spent over 20 years working between the county and the city, working on a variety of issues, particularly in land use, but also First Amendment and charter issues and wide variety of constitutional issues. And board certified in local government law, so that's really where my heart is, despite being in private practice. And I feel very lucky to be working with all of you on this project.
Thank you.
I'm Alan Cohen, and I also am lucky and grateful to be working with all of you. I, for most of my career, been an investigative reporter, so I investigated local, state, and federal government. And I've always looked at that as a way that I could serve my community and make it a better place. And this is a natural extension of that. And I look forward to the months and the hard work that we have in front of us.
Great, thanks. I'm going to pass it to you, Kathleen, because it equates to your chair. If you go ahead, I think everyone will be able to hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Yeah, great. Well, it is an honor. I think it's, I've lived in Tampa since 2005 and been CEO of 2 companies that were based in Tampa and then one company that was not based in Tampa, but I traveled a lot out of that wonderful airport resource that we all admire. I think this is an exciting time. I worked at the state level with Governor Bush as his chief of staff, and I worked with a lot of the mayors around the state during that time period. And I think what's exciting about charter review commissions is it gives you the opportunity to sort of agree with what's working and maybe look at how some of the things over the last 10 years that Ron just mentioned, what's changed and what do we need to do better. And I think it's great that there's lots of variety of skill sets on the group and that we're all here to listen and learn from each other, but also advance what's best for Tampa as a city going forward. So look forward to being in person. Sorry, my mom's 96 and she's in California and she's having a cornea transplant. So I couldn't change the schedule, but I look forward to being at the next meeting in person.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Bill, I know a few of you, and I'm also looking forward to that. Moved here from Jacksonville when I was 3. Siblings were all born here. My 3 adult children were raised here. And I think like all of us have a real passion and love for Tampa. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Gunster. We're a statewide law firm. I also run the firm along with 5 other board members. Very active in the Florida Bar, was president of the Florida Bar, was president of the Hillsborough County Bar Association. One of the highlights for me has been I was able to serve, selected to serve on the Florida Constitution Revision Commission. So similar to what we have here, it was a fabulous experience. And just hearing Kathleen, what you had to say, we looked at that through the lens of what's best interest of Florida. And we spent a heck of a lot of time working really hard to make sure what we did and what we proposed to the ballot was in the best interest, or at least what we thought the best interest of Florida. So look forward to doing the same thing here, exchanging ideas, Bobby, like you said, right? There are going to be different views. We'll talk them out, and we'll hash them out. I'm sure we'll reach consensus on a lot of the issues we're going to grapple with.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Garrett Greco. I'm a multi-generation Tampa native, real estate broker, investor. I also have a podcast where we talk about city issues, regional issues, stuff like that, called Tampa Bay Developer. And I look forward to serving with you all. I know some people here, and some I'm meeting tonight for the first time. So really looking forward to it. Thank you, guys.
Great, thank you. I can pass it on to our 2 prestigious alternates.
I'm Sue Carlson, since we're all doing our bona fides here, native Floridian, back many generations, came to Tampa 30-something years ago, did not expect to fall in love with it and completely have. I was a reporter at the St. Petersburg Times, but the Tampa Bay Times for my whole career, everything from criminal courts to neighborhoods to politics to business. The only thing I didn't do was sports. And I was an editor, a Tampa City editor. Really love this town. Never quite connected to St. Pete like we did over here because it's just not as good of a name. But just came off the county charter review. And that was a real eye opener to be on the other side and sort of see, to be around a lot of people we didn't all think the same, but it was just a really amazing experience. So really looking forward to working with you guys.
Good evening, Allison Hewitt, third generation from Tampa. I have lobbied for the port, the airport, and Lawyer Park Zoo. I then went to Tallahassee and purchased Senator Jeb Bush and did his Office of Urban Opportunity, did economic development around the state. I've been back here in small business. Nonprofit.
Great, thank you all. Look forward to meeting all of you. One of the things I didn't mention, my role in this is very much to get to an output. I will be agnostic. My job is just really harness all of the good ideas coming out of all of you and move us forward. We'll talk a little bit more about that process when we get to it. But thank you. It's nice to meet you. We'll be spending more time together. And I'm excited to join you as well. I'm going to keep us moving. Before we jump into our agenda, I wanted to make sure to ask to see if there's anyone from the public who would like to have a few minutes to speak. Anyone? No. The fans. Anyone registered to speak?
No,
Okay.
but it would have been nice to have been here.
Okay, so can we move forward? Our agenda for today. So today is very much informational. The next time we gather, it will be very collaborative, facilitated on writing. We'll talk a lot more. I'll ask you to explain more where you're going with things, and I'll talk about that process in a minute. But for today, it's informational. We're going to talk about the background of this group, the objectives and timeline. Ken's going to walk through the city charter at a very high level and the resolution governing this group's formation and rules. He'll also cover sunshine and public records, state and city ethics codes that apply to all of us. But before I forget, Sam, I'm thinking about what you said. Make sure to take any personal emails related to this group and forward them to your city emails. And then from that point forward, we'll be using those. The city charter review approach. I'll talk a little bit about the process we'll go through in our role. We'll cover some administrative matters like future meetings. We do need to select a chairperson and a vice chair. That's an administrative role. It's a little bit different than a typical board chair would play, but we need to do that. So the bold amongst you will get a chance to see if you want to take on that role. And then preparing for our next meeting. So that's our agenda. There's a possibility we'll end before 9. No promises. This one's a little bit open-ended, but we'll get through all of that before. Any questions on the agenda? Really need a clicker because I keep walking in front of you guys. So you all very well may know this. And excuse me, Kathleen, I need to move a little screen you're on to do this. So in 2023, voters approved an amendment to the charter by which commencing in 2025 and every 8 years thereafter, there shall be established by ordinance a charter review advisory commission, which describes all of you. And we'll talk a little bit about your objective here in a second. Again, I think most did you know that? I just do. Sorry. Of course not. Let's go here. The charter was last amended in 2023. I won't read the slide. Many of you are probably familiar with this, but these were the 4 proposals that voters ended up approving as a result of the process that brought those to the ballot. So again, we'll be doing our role in bringing our advice and recommendations to the council, and they very well make the ballot in March. So our charge is to supply the council with recommendations for amending the charter. Again, I think everyone knows that walking in, some of you more than even I. The deadline is September 17th, 2026, which means we meet right up until that point if we're still hashing things out. I'm hoping we can end sooner, but we're not going to know that until we get started. And then, of course, the council will decide based on what you provide to them, how much they basically adopt, embrace, and then decide to put on the ballot in March. So it's few words. There's a lot more work involved than what's on the slide. Of course, we have a lot of material to cover, but that is our charge. That is our reason for being here. And again, it'll all make more sense in terms of process when we get to that point. Any questions so far from the group? Cool. I'm going to let Ken take over. This is an opportunity, if you do have questions, to ask Ken about what he's going to cover. We're not going to go through every single particular point. Charters, several pages. But we do want to give you a chance to really feel comfortable with what it is we're looking at, what it means, and what it signifies. So I'm just going to Ken, the seat.
Figured instead of reading you the entire chart, we do an outline.
Amazing.
It's on the,
It's on that ship.
yes. Unfortunately, that was. This is just to get you familiar with the outline of the charter. Going to be a reference then for you going forward. As far as how this particular city charter is set up. And to encourage reading every word, but you don't want me performing that for you. How the charter leads off, the first section is the introduction. It's the incorporation of the city. It's all the formalities that are required in the charter law to have a charter. The legislative section begins at article number 2. As you're probably familiar with, we have 3 citywide elected at large districts, 4 single member districts. The thing that is unique about the charter in the city is the planning commission's participation with redistricting. Council members have to be a resident elected in the city 1 year prior to the start of their term, and in single member district, they have to be a resident of that district for the previous 6 months. This is always from the start of the term, not when they file for office. We do have term limits in the city, but you can trade. You can start with 2 terms and at large, and then switch over to single member. You can do the reverse. Once you've done that 4 times, you got to take a year off, 2 years off. 4 members is the quorum. They elect a chair and a chair pro tem, the vice chair. The mayor has veto power, and that was put in the legislative section of the charter. City clerk is set out in Article 3. Article 4 is the executive. The mayor acts as the sole administrator and executive head of the city. It's often called the strong mayor form of government. Handles all administrative matters. There's a 2 executive term limit. They are elected at large, and the city council consults on the executive departments but cannot interfere. It's not interference provision in the charter. The departments are set out in Article 5. The mayor does establish the departments, but needs a 2/3 of the entire city council to approve when altering those. And there's certain departments that are set forth in the charter itself, that such as the legal and revenue and pension, things like that. The city attorney section is in here as well. The city attorney handles all legal business of the city. And the police chief and fire chief are solely under the supervision by the mayor. Article 6 jumps over 2 officers. This sets forth the different officers of the city and the process for their appointment. The mayor appointing the officers, the city council approving the 4 of those. The mayor does have the sole power of removal except for the city clerk. Section 7 outlines finances, the city's fiscal year, and the process as far as the budget goes. Article 8, contracts and bidding. Contract must be in writing, good idea. Approved by the city council with recommendation of the mayor. And there's a charter requirement for competitive bidding. And then 9, 10, and 11, you have your establishment of certain boards, how elections are handled here in the city. The city does have off year, not the traditional primary general election that we follow in Florida, handles in the spring with a runoff that's still in place. And of course, the 11 was the transitional provisions, which sort of stopped to make sure all of us continue. But that's just to give you a basic framework of what the charter involves. And if you're looking for certain sections, we'll be going through these in much more detail as we go forward. But I want to give you at least the basic outline of where things are as you go. Any questions related to the charter? Get my back on the TV. So.
I think so. find the magic buttons for this thing. And now on the resolution. You don't want me to click that with me?
Oh, yeah, I didn't bring it. Thank you.
It's probably a little small, but
Yeah, I mean, this one is something they can read at their leisure. What happened, there's a provision of the charter that sets forth your existence as a charter review advisory committee. The city then adopted an ordinance instituting that in the resolution outlining the process. So everything you heard earlier about the deadlines and all the steps that go into it, all of that is in extreme detail in the city resolution. So if you're interested in how we got to this point today, and then the steps as far as your work, and then what will go beyond that. Once you have your recommendations, they go back to city council. City council decides whether or not to move forward with them, and it sets out the time period for the council to reach the March 2027 ballot. So something just as a reference point, it'll be on the show point and all to go over that schedule.
Um,
go ahead, Kathleen. Kathleen, did you say something?
Hello?
Hi there.
Can I ask a question about that? Review Commission?
Yeah, of course.
So is this absolutely the way the review commission will work when it says it's by majority vote versus unanimous?
Can't hear what you say.
She was asked, you asked about the majority vote, but we broke up a little bit, Kathleen.
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of watched these at the state level, and I think historically, it's usually unanimous consent coming from a charter review commission to go before something proceeds to whatever the body is, the city council or the state legislature, before it proceeds to a vote by them to go before the voters. So I was just reading this that you just put up on the screen, and it says any amendments or revisions by majority vote. So is that unique to this commission? Is that previously was it majority vote?
It's in the resolution.
It's in the resolution
It
itself.
says 2/3 for the city council, and it says we make our own rules by majority vote, so we get to decide whether or not something goes to city council by either consensus, supermajority, majority, as I read it.
As I read it, you do have the right to create your own rules and all. There is no restriction placed on this advisory commission. And I think that's the biggest difference in how this is
Yeah,
set
that's
up.
what I was, that's
compared
right,
to-
exactly where I was going.
Right, and compared to other groups, is by default, you're a majority rule group. So you can adopt your own rules if you want to. Then those will be adopted at the moment by majority vote. But there's not a restriction because you do not have direct access to the ballot itself. You are purely advising the city council on your recommendations. So you start out in that position.
And what Ron did is, I remember you, Ron, in this last commission, whatever you sent to the city council came consensus, in other words, unanimous, what you all did. The Florida CRC, whatever that's worth, was, it was a 2/3 vote. In other words, to get onto the ballot, which is different here, you just sent it to the city council. But, that's something I think to talk about, whether you want to come out of here with just a majority or you want a super majority or a consensus.
I just want to be sure I understand it. So we're looking at section 1A. Is that what we're looking at? The charter commission shall review the Tampa Woodland Charter, et cetera, and propose any amendments.
Just
or
looking at
revisions
that
by the
screen
vote.
that was on the page that now is gone, that said something about objectives, and I was saying, is that our mandate or is that addressable in terms of adjustments?
Just ask council, what is your interpretation as to currently what vote we would need to have to send a recommendation to the council. I think you said it was.
At the majority, it is majority.
Help me, one other question, sorry. What's the form requirement? Form of us majority?
Correct.
Yeah. Just, something for us to think about, that there could be 5 people attending a meeting, and then you could have 3 people who said something to the council.
Right. And that, you really want something coming out of here with a 5-4 vote that has that much discontent here going to city council, when ultimately this has got to be approved by the voters. I'm not sure where it says by default it's majority, but it does, but it also says in E, this is section 6E, no, excuse me, section 4H, we may adopt, or, we set the rule, how we want to handle it. So I think ultimately the decision, am I right? It's with us.
You can choose, right, you can choose to restrict yourself. What I'm outlining is that any advisory board of the city operates under your rule unless otherwise restricted.
So my question relates to where the primacy lies. So is this resolution higher in authority, so to speak, than the rules that we would set for our procedures of our committee? Because it says,
No.
it says here by, section 1A, propose any amendments or revisions by majority vote. That's the language of the resolution. But then if we adopt our own procedures, are we then able to violate what is codified in the resolution?
Well, let me walk you through the language here, because I think this may be the part that's getting a little confused, is that this group provides a report. Everything that happens after that is how the city council then handles it, how it's dealt with by the voters, et cetera. So the part about city council shall present to the mayor an ordinance passed by a 2/3 vote, that's what the city council has to deal with. That's simply the restrictions that are already placed in the charter as far as the process goes. This group is a majority vote group, but you do have the ability to set your own rules that's set forth in all the documents that empower you. So if you wish to restrict yourself, you can choose to. You simply don't have to.
So by insinuation, then we don't have to, letter by letter, follow the rules of what's dictated in the.
You need to be consistent with the resolution. What I'm saying is that this provision here has nothing to do with whether
Simple majority or
correct.
2/3.
This provision does not restrict you to a 2/3 necessity here.
I think probably what he's saying is the charter is, and the ordinance and the resolution are binding on us. We have to follow them. I think what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is the provision that Bobby was reading applies to the actions of city council after they receive our report. It doesn't apply to the vote by this group. And the vote by this group, unless we decide to change it, would be by majority vote. And I would propose, based on what Kathleen and Bill and others points, that for me at least, I would think we would want consensus. And I would also say that consensus with a minimum of 6, meaning that if we
2/3.
if we no, what I meant, Bill, was if we have a meeting for some reason where we only have 5 people at the meeting,
It would carry.
it has to wait until the next meeting to vote.
That makes sense. We shouldn't have, I don't think, 5 people making a decision like that.
Well, come to the meetings.
Yeah, if you miss 3, you're off.
Right.
You don't better come.
Standing by, so.
Sue's breathing down. She's ready.
Yeah, I just think for credibility, either unanimous consent or a super majority, because otherwise every different meeting could have a different majority. And I don't, and I read this when you put it up as objectives, like this was suggested, but it's not, it doesn't mean that this is our only option. So I'm a big believer in less is more, be thoughtful, be instructional, so that what we do present to them, to the city council, really goes to the voters, if that's who we're supposed to be sort of thinking about and advocating for in terms of what makes Tampa a better city.
I just asked if anybody think we should do anything less than consensus vote.
You mean, when you say consensus, you mean unanimous?
Yes.
So it's question,
Unanimous
unanimous or
consent, yeah.
supermajority?
Yes.
And that's.
Yeah.
What you'll say is a motion, and you guys can beat it up if you want, is I'll make a motion that we adopt a rule that no recommendation will come out of this committee to city council unless it has unanimous vote at a meeting in which a quorum is present, assuming at least 6 people present.
I'll second that.
We discuss it.
Since you haven't
Yeah, yeah.
adopted,
But
let me help you here.
yeah, once you get
Since you don't have a chair, you're kind of getting ahead of the game. Rob would act as chair until you just decide to vote for a chair at this point, so.
We do have the chair designation near the end. Maybe we can table this for a little bit. Either circle that and do it at the end, or have it be the first things, the first thing you do when we reconvene. But I want to make sure everyone has a chance to chime in. Does that work?
Sure.
Okay, right. Good conversation. We're going to keep moving. Kathleen, did you hear that? We're going to do it later or in the beginning of the next meeting. Just want to make sure
At the
you're,
beginning of the next meeting. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. yeah.
or later
I
today,
just
one or
think
the other.
it's- Okay.
So we,
I believe in taking action when action is current, so.
We'll be
I'm
appointing a
ready to
chair
do
and
that.
we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Sorry.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
I think we should formally, I'll withdraw the motion. We have a motion second pending, so we would have to, I'll withdraw it.
No, we can do the motion later. Absolutely. Great. Well, good. All right. Back on, Ken.
I'm back on.
Yeah, back on.
All right.
It's pretty short lived.
Another one where your choice was the state sunshine manual, which is about 400 pages, I think, or my short version. Used with a lot of private groups that end up with sunshine responsibilities by the state. So then they get investigated by investigators. It's a challenge. Obviously, our goal is to keep you out of prison. That's where we start when it comes to sunshine and public pressure. As you know, you now, by taking the oath of office, you now have sunshine responsibilities with each other. So you should not be speaking about things that could foreseeably come as a vote before you outside of this meeting. Outside of a, yes. That's right.
I don't want to interrupt your flow, but social media is a big thing right now.
Stay off of it. Is my best advice. The key with social media is if you put out, I want to do X, Y, and Z at the Charter Review Board, and then someone replies to it, you've just violated the sunshine law. So our law was not written by the time.
How is that? You mean if somebody else on this commission replies?
Correct, someone else in this commission.
Yeah.
And just be clear about
Yeah.
that.
But we're both going to jail.
Correct, they're both going to. Exactly. That's, yeah.
They're going to jail.
Thankfully, we don't send too many people for sunshine law violations. Usually they've stolen money and other things too, but it had happened.
Could communication be something as simple as like a reaction, like a like on
Yeah, it
a?
could be a happy face. It could be a thumbs up, because that indicates you're in support of something they put forward that could foreseeably come before you. The idea is that the public is entitled to see the entire process. So if you're out of this forum and you're having these conversations and you're liking each other's ideas, you're forming a coalition. You're forming things that are outside. My best horror story is a local civic group who was conspiring to fire their executive director. They also couldn't type, so they accidentally sent that one of their messages to the master mailbox of all the volunteers. The volunteers ran with it, media got involved, the county commission sent it over to FDLE. FDLE launched an investigation, and we had to have a very large cure meeting where I read all of the emails and the venue to about 200 people who showed up for that meeting. So please don't do that. That's for sure.
Would that include, like, for instance, let's say, social media post saying, first meeting of the Charter Review Advisory Commission tonight, sworn in, don't do that?
That's fine. That, and informational, come to my charter review board meeting tonight. That's great. Come to it because I'm gonna propose X, Y, and Z. That's when you're getting into problems. Okay, so if you want to share the city clerk posting that there's a meeting tonight, that's good. You can like that all you want. It's the content that we're getting into. I know this is challenging these days because everybody's communicating all the time. But these rules have been in place a long time, and it's usually the smaller bodies that get in the most trouble because the biggest hammer is someone could go to court and seek to void out everything you just did. And then city council should ignore everything coming out of this group and you wasted your time. So that's the piece that we're trying to.
To clarify what date the sunshine law went into effect.
The second you swore in, but in theory, it went to your appointment that comes forward, but we did not convene this commission until you swore in today. So I think we have a good argument at the end today.
It's just,
What was that?
it's just.
It's just an argument. If you've already violated it, then you can tell me after the meeting and we'll figure out what we need to do.
So if you say, like, say I'm going to a neighborhood association meeting, come to this neighborhood association, on social media, you say, come to this neighborhood association, we'll be discussing the charter. That's fine. It's a
Well,
public forum, but you're not inviting.
Well, here's the steps, the announcement. I'm going to be at a public forum, not a problem.
Okay.
You going to a public forum and talking about things that will be foreseeably coming before you, that's could be problematic if one of the other members is there. Or there's a videotape being made of the recording of it and they're going to see that. So
If you're accepting suggestions from your.
I would take in information as opposed to give out. That you can certainly talk to any members of the public one-on-one, get information, get ideas. It's that debate.
Right.
That is what the sunshine law is most looking at. The idea that the public is that full.
Okay.
Yes, okay. The sunshine law applies obviously to anything we're going to take up. Can we speak when something is completed? Does that go away?
Correct. Once you turn in your report to city council and this body ends, you can talk all you want.
But no, I'm sorry, and I asked that really badly. If we all voted on one thing and we're continuing on.
Right.
Can you talk about the thing that has already been voted on or not?
I would say no, because the odds are it might come up again.
Okay.
Because what we're going to be doing is going through the charter step by step, and the odds are we'll hit something in Article 1 that you'll now want to change in Article 7 or something like that.
Sure. Defended. So, yeah, the bottom line is none of us on this commission should talk to each other directly or indirectly about the business of the Charter Review Commission while we're still in place. That also means we're not saying to Ken, hey, tell Bill I think this, right? Indirectly or directly, we can't talk to each other about business.
That's a later page, yeah.
Next, let me do my presentation.
You looked ahead. It's always the problem with more less lawyers, I understand. The basics of the sunshine law, just so you understand where it comes from, the idea is that it's chapter 286, the meetings of a board of commission must be open to the public. You have to have reasonable notice, and minutes have to be kept. Seems really basic, but that also then means you must function in that capacity. So something to keep in mind, that's where that's coming from. There are criminal penalties, there's civil penalties. There's the biggest hammer is often attorney's fees that someone can seek in trying to enforce this. I'm sure you may have run into. Well, I do not have a sunshine obligation when it comes to each of you, but I can not, neither I nor Rob can be a conduit. We are not allowed to pass information. You can have all the conversations, any of you individually with either of us, but you can't tell us to tell somebody else that something's going to be going on. So we're going to be dealing with things just individually and from a neutral position as to how we handle things. We don't have a vote when it comes down to it. What I put in here is different scenarios. So you can refer back to just because you have a sunshine obligation doesn't mean you now have a sunshine obligation with all the city council members or all the county commissioners or any else who has their own sunshine obligation. It's only with the people around the table and on video. You're members of this particular commission that you have obligations with. That makes sense? That often gets people. So you can talk to all the city council members you want. Please don't talk to two of them at the same time, because then they violate the law. It's something, they have their own problems then. But you can certainly have those particular individual discussions. The reason why you have city emails now is to prevent you from becoming a records custodian. If you use your private email in the furtherance of this public role, you have volunteered to be a records custodian, and someone can make a records request and end up going after your particular emails, and then it's sorting out what is public, what is not. It gets up. So that's why we created these email accounts. You have the ability to forward them to your private accounts if you wish, but I would not reply from your private account. So when it shows up in your private account, it'll look like it just came to you directly, not through the city. Be very careful about that. So you may want to keep those two worlds separate. There shouldn't be too many things you need to email about when it comes to this particular group. It's more meeting announcements and materials, things along those lines, and of course the parking code, very important. So something to think about, though, you don't want to take on that obligation.
You might be getting to this, but
I probably am.
My understanding is that the method with what you receive in communication, text or private email, doesn't affect whether it's public record. It has to do with the Business League Charter Review Commission. It's public record regardless of how you receive it. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. No, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that the way someone communicates with you doesn't matter. It's simply the idea of passing along knowledge here that's relevant to what you're working on. So it could be a text message, it could be Facebook, it could be any kind of social media, it could be a carrier pigeon. It doesn't matter to me what the method is as far as that goes. That triggers the application here. And that we'll get into also public records. The fact that someone can see those materials and often does for this kind of group. So something to keep in mind.
Can you talk about handwritten notes too?
Sure. If you're writing things down, always be cautious that it's subject to a public records request. If you write down, I need to go to Publix later to pick up bread, that's transitory, not likely to be part of this. You write down, I hate the mayor, I want to do this, that's going to be a public records request first thing requested in the papers. It's are you formalizing knowledge related to the subject of what you're doing here? So something to be cautious about. If you like to doodle, be careful. So it's something that can come up in kinds of requests.
Just to be perfectly clear, if we're taking notes in the midst of discussions, we can kind of keep our thoughts on track or capture a point someone made to discuss it later. Whatever's on that page. Passed.
Right, keep it. It's going to be subject to a request.
So we have to keep it.
You have to keep it if it's something that you are formalizing knowledge here.
Okay. Okay.
So something to be cautious about. Some people write too much.
So it's burning.
Yeah, you don't want to be quoted that I burned all my public records at
Yeah.
the meeting. So it's something to be cautious about.
Do you have other questions, Tobias?
Go for
Okay,
it.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going back to social media and like, hey, we're having this meeting. Is that creating a public record? And if so, how would you all like us to formalize retention of that?
That's a good point. If you do that kind of thing that relates to this particular role, your task would be to take a screenshot of it and email it to your city account. That's usually the simplest way to handle it. Because the city does not have the tech, you do not want to be under the city's technology that's pulling all of your Facebook messages or things like that.
And the same would apply to a text or a Facebook. If somebody Facebook's any messages, any one of us about this group, that is a public record, you've got an obligation.
So you have an obligation to maintain it. That's correct.
Okay, so then back to the question about if you're at public forums and you're wanting to receive information from people, let's say it's the Moms of Cats group, and they're like, we want to come talk about some ordinances we want you to look at. Like, okay, cool. I come there, I need to explain to them the sunshine laws. Don't go talk to Moms of Dogs group because you're gonna get us arrested. If you're a conduit between us.
Correct. You can't be a conduit. The best thing to refer them to is what we have an online web form for anyone to submit their comments to this entire group. So if they simply search for the Charter Review Advisory Commission, there's a web form, it will go, it goes to Rob, and then Rob is able to send out the summary of the records that have been received. So that also helps you make sure that it's not just one-on-one things, it's to the entire commission. That's why that was set up along those lines.
And that's helpful as well, so that like, I mean, if people are getting input from the public, I think it'd be helpful for us all.
Right. It's especially when there's groups and then other things along those lines, having a record of what they put forward, I think helps you and the credibility of what you come up with.
That's in your presentation. Just having that in
You
your.
know, we're getting there.
Cool.
I'm just getting past it now. We covered that. The only time only one of you can trigger sometime obligation to call a meeting is if you're empowered by the rest of the group to go represent. That shouldn't be an issue for this particular kind of group. It happens more in a city council, county commission kind of framework. Notice requirements. Well, one thing, attorney-client privilege, things along those lines. I have very little of it in this role. It's something I didn't gain attorney-client privilege, so I left public practice. I went into private practice. The fact there is no recognition under our public records laws or sunshine or anything of attorney-client unless there's litigation. And I have shaving and all sorts of things. So that's not going to happen here. So don't assume that we have this, if you give me a document, don't assume I can protect it because I'm your lawyer. It's still going to be public record. Obviously, any conversations we have one-on-one, I'm still under Florida bar rules. That's going to be us individually. But I represent you in your role here as a group member, not on any private affairs. So it's just, some people think the attorney-client privilege gives you kind of a jail-free card kind of thing when it comes to public records, and it does not. It's not Florida. Notice requirements, it has to be reasonable as to this particular group. The city is handling all of that, and the clerk's office, they'll handle all the notes. Obviously, the room has to be big enough for the public. When we have extra seats for the public, we're doing great. If you attract a massive crowd, we may have to relocate.
I think this might not be the appropriate time to ask, but maybe a question for Rob. Last time we met in city council chambers, was that not available to us?
Sorry, what's the beginning of the question?
Last time we did the charter review, we met in city council's official city council room.
Right.
Was that not available to us?
From a facilitator standpoint, I like this format, having us all around the table, close enough, but not too close. Allows me to just manage the conversation a little bit better if you guys were like separated or up in that area. To me, that would dilute my efforts. So when I was working with the group to look at the location and saw this, I said, this will work fine. It's, you could use a little bit more space, but I think it's ample enough for us to be productive. So that's why I decided to use it.
Let's see. I'm on page 9, just to make sure there's keeping up with me here. Don't have any notes. Got a basics here. I know a lot of this is kindergarten. When it comes down to it. If the member of the public wants to videotape you, record you, they have every right. We can outlaw them from doing that. I'm sure podcast agrees. Let's see, there are no secret ballots here. Any votes you're going to take are open to the public to see. Obviously, this is a less complicated board than the city council or something like that, but just so you understand, your name will be with every decision. Minutes have to be kept from these meetings, and Rob will handle that with the clerk as far as the basics of what is occurring here. All right. Any questions, Sunshine, before I get into public records beyond that? We covered a lot of things.
Doing great.
All right. Keep going. Public records law, if you want to read chapter 119, please do. If you can make sense of it, I'd love to hear it. It's been a very much amended law over the years. But the basics of it are anything in writing, anything, it could be writing, recording, any form of communication that you receive or send in the performance of your duties, which you sort of hold, is likely to be a public record. The default in Florida is everything's open unless it's closed by an exemption. Unless the legislature decided that is something that is exempt from disclosures. Good example would be your social security number, your bank account numbers. There's a whole series, there's hundreds of exemptions in the law scattered throughout Florida code. But very few will apply to this particular scenario. So you have to make the assumption anything you write down, anything you receive, any messages, that it's all going to be subject to a request. The goal here is to try to limit you from being a custodian. That's why we have the city emails. That's why we're using SharePoint. All of that, the city then maintains the records for you. You have every right to keep your own notes, keep a binder or whatever works for you. Just understand that those are public records. So you need to maintain them, don't burn them after the meeting. That's could be my new thing.
That's only if they're unique, right? Like in other words, if we print out a copy of the charter, read it, someone can throw it out.
If it's already on the SharePoint, you're good.
Yeah.
If it's your take of the charter, then you created a new public record. But yeah, if it's a duplicate of something that's a handout, like if my booklet tonight is already on the SharePoint, you don't have to maintain that.
But I think you answered my question. So if we print something and then put a note on it, it becomes.
Correct. If you personalize it, that you're now trying to maintain knowledge here about something, that has made a public record.
So even highlighting.
Yeah, even highlighting. That's usually, it'd be hard to argue otherwise.
Yeah.
That's all. What we typically do for this kind of board, in my experience, is at the end of this, scan in everything that was part of your public records file here and transfer that to the city. So you're not an ongoing custodian of these records. If you want to be, that's great. But you'll get the public records request should one come in. But it's something to keep in one place if you choose to keep your own notes outside the system. Makes sense? We have to respond to records requests in a reasonable time. As any of the lawyers know, reasonable under the law is always entertaining. But it's very quick depending upon the request and the volume. Not going to take a lot of time to come up with the records here. And the odds are that anyone who is making a request needs it for quickly in short order. So it's something that usually can be done pretty quickly. The hammers with this, the biggest thing they can seek is attorney's fees. And obviously, city council probably won't keep you on this board very long if you trigger attorney's fees to the city. So it's something to keep in mind as far as the public records obligations. That is the short version of it. Obviously, if you really want to read more, there's the 400-page manual the state puts out on the Florida Attorney General's website. That's our Bible when it comes to these kind of matters. But there's constantly cases and advice about this. Make sense, though?
Yeah. Wasn't that
All right. I'm going to go very brief on the ethical obligations because you've covered a lot of these things already. The city you're subject to Chapter 112 of Florida statutes, which are the same ethical rules that apply to council members, any other elected officials, other public officers. The city has adopted their own ethics code. It's under the process of revision, so it might change next month. So if you Google it and see a strike-through version out on the city website that has not yet been adopted, and double check this with the city attorney. The current code is on any code and linked on the SharePoint. The key about this is it really comes down to 2 points. Don't take money for this. Don't be bribed for your vote. Don't take any favors to your business, anything else that could be seen as corruptly using or attempting to use your official position for your own private gain. That's all those rules all come together at that basic point. The idea that you have sworn to uphold the charter, the Constitution, et cetera, and this should not be something that you gain any personal advantage to as you're going through this. If a odd situation comes up, something that you just didn't realize was gonna happen, come talk to me about it and we'll figure it out. There shouldn't be a need for anyone to have to declare a conflict of interest or anything along those lines. The matters you're dealing with here are very broad in approach, but if there's ever a question about it, please, let's talk about it ahead of a meeting, just in case you needed to not participate in a particular vote. That is the ethics provision of it, but please take a read, especially the city code, just so you're familiar with the responsibilities. And you've already got it. All right, good. Moving on. Thank you.
Should go up there. Okay, our approach. Thank you, Ken. Thanks for walking through the different sections, the provisions in the charter. Our approach is going to be methodical, start from the beginning and plow through section by section. My goal is going to make sure that all of you are heard, if you want to be heard. I think one of the things that will help make us successful is if we answer the question, what problem are we trying to solve? When we talk about the things that we feel are important and it's for the charter. To really convey and capture facts around an issue, a situation, a limit, so that everyone can not only see the solution we're thinking is going to fix it, but what is it we're trying to fix? How do we know that's the case? A lot of times in my professional work, see many groups love to go to solutions, but when you back into the problem, it's fuzzy. And I don't think that can work very well for us, nor would I think we want to do that. We want to really convey that. I think the other element of this is, what we're proposing isn't for today's council or for today's mayor. We're proposing years of governmental advice. So I think that's also important. Think less about the people occupying the roles in rather the role of government, what makes government successful and what makes government perform well for its constituents. So it's a longer range problem solving lens is my point. Like several of you here, despite my father's wishes, I never became a lawyer. So what I propose is we get plain English changes to what we're talking about, and we hand it to Ken to help us convert that into language that ends up being part of our final review and our final recommendation to the council. Of course, Ken will be here to answer our questions along the way, which I'm sure he'll do brilliantly. But the point being, let's get to the substance and convert the language to basically conform with that.
You brought up that we would vote on a plain language explanation of it. Kind of a discussion about it, and then we would bring something back.
Yeah, he brings something back. I mean, there will be a point, there will be to the next point, because we talked about how we get to, yes, this is a recommendation. If we move towards the decision all of you take to be consensus, that helps me avoid leaving a minority unhappy when we get to those plain language recommendations. So what I would propose is when we have a plain language explanation of the recommendation, we all decide we move forward. It's still going to be in front of you for a final review, but I'd like Ken to make sure the language is appropriate for that. And that might not be, I have to go through to learn exactly what the difference might be, but it's about the change and then the language and then double checking that captures what we intended.
I very much appreciate the approach that you're doing. It's a little bit of a concern. I think I understood what you said correctly, that we would agree on kind of a plain language, and then I think what I heard you saying is we just give a final report at the end of this entire thing to see it, or you're talking about at the very top. That's what I wanted to be clear.
So what I'd like to do is get all of us aligned. Ken won't instantly be able to convert that to language. We're going to keep cycling this back through you guys to make sure we capture this while it's fresh. The other thing I'd like to do, and I'll talk to you a little bit about SharePoint. I want to chronicle these things so you guys can see kind of a journaling of all of our decisions.
Yeah.
And the problems we're trying to solve and the solutions we're proposing with enough information to really capture the essence of what you were getting at, and including the language that Ken uses to take that and morph it into what ends up being part of the final package. As I mentioned here,
We don't really know how long this is going to take, how many weeks or months. But ideally, what I'd also like to do, and this goes to Ken's point about, we may go back to some things. I'd like to plow through everything, have that final and full list, have it all written in a way that is, that Ken's provided to us. And then give us one final review to say, this is our package. Are we happy with this in its entirety? The schedule may dictate how much latitude we have to revisit things, but I would like to afford you guys one last chance to say, because you have to take a step back, and a lot of these things relate to each other, to say, yes, this does represent everything we talked about, and I haven't changed my mind about what we said, but maybe we do, maybe we tweak something. I'd like to get to that point so that you have that final review. It's kind of like seeing the report all together as opposed to the pieces and chapters.
Makes sense.
So that's kind of what I was thinking we would do, and how we would go through. I won't be sitting at all when we're meeting. I like this room for that purpose. This will be populated with flip paper, sticky flip paper. I'm going to capture what I'm hearing from you. I may make you clarify what you're saying. I may, if I see a facial expression that says that smells horrible, I may make you explain why it smells horrible. But I want to get you talking and working as a collective team. Now that I hear you want to be consensus driven, it's even more important that we get comfortable working together and voicing our opinions. I also don't know who among you like to talk a lot. Lots of love for people who talk a lot, but if I feel like it's going to help, it's going to hurt our ability to meet our objectives, I'll find some, hopefully to not just me, as my wife would say, semi-humorous way to say, can we pause for a second? Can we move on? So bear with me as I get to know you, because it's until I get to know you, I won't know how to move all of you down the field. And that's what we're really after. But I'm encouraged by what I see. It's nice to meet you guys and see you. And I think there's a lot of kind of inherent teamwork coming into the room. But when the rubber hits the road, we're going to be talking about things or maybe disagreements about. So we just need to work through that. But that's the approach we'll use. And, we'll talk about, the next meeting, kind of peeling off the first two sections. But really, in terms of our success, of course, I think all of you are already designed and engineered to do your research, do your homework, give this some real thought. Maybe without violating any laws, talk to people and think about what you want to bring to the party. So just being prepared and here, I think, is what you need to do, and then I need to take you through the process. So it's pretty straightforward, and I look forward to doing that. But any questions before we move on? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. To clarify roles of our alternates.
Right.
So, we, potentially would do public comments, but we are to just participate as alternates to hear the conversation, but not engage in the conversation.
Right. Let me talk a little bit about that. That's important. I may be stealing my own here, but I guess I have that priority, prerogative. So as it stands now, and as it will move forward, we are an in-person group. And as someone who has done a lot of facilitation online, I can tell you, I was the one who strongly suggested, it came to me this way, but I agreed. I want to see you guys in a room. I can work with you in this room. I can't work with you on Teams very effectively. I mean, I'm guilty of it. Yes, I'm listening, but that email is really important. I think I want to answer that right now, right? If you have ADD like I do, you're all over the place. So the way it works is these are in-person meetings. We'll talk about the schedule, but I've already notified you to be the second and fourth Tuesdays, simple, every month going forward. As someone mentioned, I think 3 absences is your ticket to have more time on your hands and be off this group, but we do have our alternates who are also required to attend, A, to hear the conversation, and B, to jump in when you're not present. Kathleen's joining us virtually today as an exception, mainly because I am not working with you guys. We're not rolling up our sleeves today. We're learning, and it's informational. I think it's important for all of us to be here. And I didn't want to miss that chance, not to mention I had to throw dates out and do the best I could. Now we know the dates going forward, so everyone can accommodate the schedules hopefully as much as possible. So it will be in person. Our alternates are in the wings, but I would very much suspect that you'll be pulled in to the big table anytime someone needs for someone to step in, either on the council side or on the mayor's side for the appointees. But that's the way we're going to work. Believe me, I get that it's a little bit easier to do it from home. I live an hour away, but I do think that in the end we'll get a better product and we'll do it more quickly and efficiently if we do it in person. So
These meetings twice a month, what time will they start?
They're set to be the same as today,
Seems to-
from 6 to 9. But what I will tell you, and again, I'm maybe too much of an open book. When I talked to the chair and others, I said, I think I can cut that down, but I won't promise that. So being very open book with you guys, I don't want to set an expectation, but if we are, once I get a sense of the flow in how decisive we are, how aligned we are, how misaligned we are, I'm going to, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to take what Ken showed you. I'm going to kind of do a project schedule along the lines of, here are all the things we have to get through and monitor our progress to a plan to know whether or not I might be able to end a little earlier on a given night.
I wasn't talking about the ending earlier.
Right.
I was talking about starting earlier.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Honestly, if that, I don't know if that's an option if the group decided to, but I know I could accommodate an earlier start if that's what everyone wanted to do. Just speaking, because I just,
Should that be something that we, is there any wiggle room when we determine our procedures?
Mhm.
Say, for example, there's a really heavy topic, we got a lot of work done, but we might want to skip a meeting, get some research or whatever it might be.
Mhm.
How much wiggle room do we have? Do we have to stick to 2 meetings? Is it in?
Honestly, the 2 meetings, respectfully, it seems to me to be a little excessive, like the county, you know, the county just did it, right? I think you met once a month with the county and
yeah.
in my other experiences. And here's why I think it's a little aggressive is once we determine changes, right? Multiple things, and I'm sure Ken is quick and efficient, but I would want him to be thorough and complete rather than quick and efficient, right?
Mhm.
And so it's gonna take him a little bit of time to memorialize that, maybe get it out and put it in the portal. And then we need some time to review it, do our homework and research. And so 2-week turnaround times seem aggressive to me.
Mhm.
Is it possible that we meet once a month? And I'm not speaking for everybody else, I'm just.
Right.
Do you thought that how that might affect your role for what you just expressed?
So as far as, go ahead.
Do we get done quicker if we do 2 times a week or?
Absolutely.
2 times a month.
Month, right, yeah, oh, Lord, Jesus. 2 times a month.
You got any attorney first?
Before I ask my attorney if we can either change the time and or change the amount.
Let's do it.
What I would typically do is kind of feel out the group and its productivity before I loosen up our schedule. If that makes sense. Only because I don't know how this is going to go. So I'm kind of hedging by keeping you here on that schedule. My preference would be to start a little bit of aggressive and then, like I said, if we're making good progress, let's say there are how many sections, let's say 10, we have 10 chapters to get through. If at the halfway mark, we're on 7, I would be happy to entertain shortening the meetings, extending it, absolutely. But I just need to make sure we meet our objectives. So I'm not ready to entertain that just because I don't know how it's going to go.
I would assume we're going to start.
Yeah.
You go with 2, and then in 2-3 months, the group can collectively say with your
Yeah.
input and everyone's input.
Right.
Hey, we're making great progress. So I think maybe we started 2.
Just one piece from the legal side.
Yeah.
As of right now, the way the resolution reads, you have to meet at least twice a month. So, you can meet more. But if you want to go less than 2, we're gonna have to go back to council and ask for a resolution change.
Yeah, so we have and can do
I didn't know
that.
that's
But
procedure.
my concern is the turnaround time.
That's a good
Because it may be quicker, but it may be less quick because we may get into the next meeting and not be able to make a decision because we all got the new language 2 days before people.
Then go on to the next section.
Yeah.
I think we're on.
We're not ready to go back.
Yeah.
To English.
The only
Yeah,
thing,
okay. Sorry,
Kathleen, go ahead. I'm sorry my back's to you, but I can't do
no,
any.
that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
I'm just listening, but I do think, I think Ron raises a good point that efficiency of our time together as a group is coming prepared. Like, I'm serving on several corporate boards now based in Tampa. They're not all based in Tampa, but I'm based in Tampa. But it's all about how well prepared you are to go through the agenda. And so, I don't know, 6 hours a month of meeting, that sounds like a lot of prep that we would have to be reviewed, prepared for, distilled down. And, I don't mind doing it for a month, but I also don't want to meet when there's, when you could actually be more prepared with time getting prepared for the next discussion and sort of thinking through things and maybe doing some research. So I just, I'm sort of 2 meetings a month is a lot, 6 hours of time. But I'm willing to do that for like the first month and see, but I'm also very open to doing one really focused meeting a month.
Kathleen, thank you. And
Actually, just to get this out of the way, I'm calling you Rob, but I
you can
don't
call
want to be
me
too informal.
No, that's not. No,
Okay.
that's fine.
But I'm perfectly satisfied with your response and your perspective. You're the facilitator.
Mhm.
You say, let's try it this way, and then we'll modify as we need to. So I gotta take the council, which is the next level. Let's just do that.
Yeah, I would say this is a perfect example of, we don't yet know that we have a problem to solve. So I'd like to start in this way. I would also say that when I talked before, and Ronnie mentioned this, this is like raw material being pulled from you guys. That's the guts we need to get to Ken and get it back to you. So every session, we do our best on that. We have a loop by which you can look at what that result looks like before it ends up being in the yes list, right, until we get a final report. I'll talk about SharePoint in a minute, but I want to try to use tools to be efficient with everyone. Everything's in one place. It's easy to see, you're seeing the right material. And we go on that basis. I will say too, I mentioned before, my feeling, I mean, we can change the rule on start time. I would certainly be comfortable with moving it to an earlier start. If the group thinks that would be okay, I realize some of you may need to travel to get here after work, but that's on the table. That doesn't violate the rules for whatever Ken said. So that's fine. And then, time wise, when I heard 3 hours, because I've done this so much, I'm like, that's a long time. That's a lot of time. So honestly, if in 2.5, we can get through the bulk of what we need, we do it in 2.5, we adjourn. And as long as we're productive and staying on that schedule I mentioned, but there's a lot I need to learn before I can say with any certainty that any of this is going to work out the way I said. But I hear you, and I want to keep the dialogue going. I make sure you guys are telling me this is going well. I just want to make sure we're productive. And to your point, we will certainly end sooner if we have more time up front. So if we can maybe start on that basis and just modify the group, if we're happy with it, okay?
Yeah, but let me then ask about the videos. I fully agree with you that in person is ideal. And if we're in town, we should be here. Do we have some, how do my fellow council members feel that if you have to be somewhere that's more than, let's say, 50 or 75 miles away, or you're out of state or out of the country, that's sufficient enough to participate by video?
Well, right now, that would be a case for the alternate to step in for you if you couldn't attend. That's the current plan.
What do you mean by that?
But the alternates are here to step in for.
The alternates take your place if you get kicked off. The alternates are not here for a single meeting. They step in.
Is that true? I'm sorry, that I misunderstand.
Yes.
I misunderstand. Again,
The challenge we would have, if I may.
Yeah.
Is we'd have to come up with a policy to set that forth. We can if you wish. Also make sure that we have the technology set up to be able to handle it. Because we had no action items, we thought tonight, we did not have that. We made that available tonight. You'd have to have at least a quorum here physically to meet your sunshine obligations. But if you want us to explore a policy for remote participation, we can certainly dig into that.
I sit on 2 other sunshine boards. One is a state university, and one is a Moffett Scope Innovation District. And both, and again, under circumstances, if you're in town, but both accommodate participation by video if somebody's not able to be there.
I would support
I just think
making
in
every
this day
effort
and
to be
age,
here. But if there was a few occasions, I think you'd have to have a limit, certainly.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't offend me if you were out of town and a couple of us appeared, video. We'd still get a lot done. We still have a quorum here.
Candidly, I might otherwise have to step off because I have some client obligations. I'm looking at twice a month for the year to the year. I've got client obligations in Pensacola, Tallahassee. I drove here from Tallahassee directed to this meeting to be here, but it's the kickoff legislative session, right? So some of us have work obligations. I'm not complaining that this is important, that's why I threw it back. But if the decision of the group is twice a week, you can only miss 2 meetings and you're off, and you can't participate by video if you're out of town. It would be good for me to know that now, because I think I'm gonna have to.
I support the concept of appearing video.
Yeah, I support the concept too of under extraordinary circumstances. I
Yeah.
don't think in this day and age, a lot of work gets done on Teams. I know it's not ideal, but it's also with a good facilitator, everybody can speak up. And I think that, ideally, like Ron said, if you're in town, you're in the room. But if you have extraordinary other demands, I think that should be accommodated with some sort of notification.
I would agree with Bill. I mean, I think there should be some exceptions, but to a certain degree. I mean, you can't say, hey, I'm gonna make one meeting in person, the rest of the time I'll be remote. Sorry, I can't make it there. I mean, there has to be some, and I think that was the intent of the council when they put this resolution together. If you listen to the discussions, they really placed a high value on the face-to-face, in the room interactions that we would have, us all being here together. So that was, I think, pretty clearly expressed in. But I would agree with you, it's a pretty high degree of participation that's required in person.
I mean, it
was, what was everyone saying? There's some flexibility, but with some governors on it.
No, but I can say for sure that I'm.
I just checked with London that I might be not, so my vested interest is gone, but I certainly think it's reasonable for 1 or 2 people to participate remotely, given everybody in the room has a lot of
yes.
obligations, and it's not just for 3 months, it's for 9 months potentially, and given that, it's reasonable.
I think if there are individuals that have conflicts with the meetings that we've advertised already, then we should not potentially have that meeting, especially if we're talking about there being too many meetings on the city website that have already been advertised to people. Not saying we have to say that now, but just something to put out there.
I guess if we know that we're not gonna make a quorum, maybe that's something we can do, like if we know now looking at our schedule, maybe we should
We cancel.
let him know.
I sent those schedulers out.
Right, and
At least I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking more, one's coming up, let's make sure we have enough for that given meeting. But we could look across the
yeah,
entire.
it is not much that like people.
Right. Right.
Plan for things for the summer and work obligations that they already know that they have to have, so maybe we could do that, and that would provide some.
Yes.
We could get a better schedule.
And even I talked to Ken and others about, I might even have some things that cause me not to, and I have to be here.
So I'll take a look at our calendars, number one, and let's send you or whomever days and say these are absolute, I can't be here, I want to be in Istanbul. And I think, you should come up with a program, some kind of protocol that there is X number of, hey, I can't make it, Becca, you can't make one. And maybe we get up to what, maybe 5 videos? What's the number that makes?
Yeah, maybe someone gets a handful to use at their discretion, but maybe we could put some thoughts together.
Yeah.
Well, I think they come back to us.
Right, if you can give us the opportunity to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying yes to.
Well, the challenge you got is always. So it's always making sure it's fair to the group as a whole. It's not the same people who are stuck being here in person all the time, so.
Is that,
There's a way to figure that out.
Yeah,
We can talk offline if it's a complicated answer, but is that a function of city government?
Correct. Right, the state has given itself all kinds of exemptions. The boards you recognize there have different rules. Unfortunately, legislature hasn't been as kind to local government.
Just to be clear to everybody, this is a high priority to me and I will be here if I have to. But, I've already, and I'll get you the dates that I might be out of town. But I have stuff already there that I have to attend to.
Yeah, maybe please let me know 2 things. Meetings you just can't make at all, and meetings that you could make if you have the virtual option.
Yeah.
Presuming that everything else would be in person. I'll look at that to see, again, how big of a challenge are we really looking at it? Maybe just a couple of you on a couple of days. But let me get that data, so you can send that to me by end of, let's say, we're already today, maybe end of week, if you could just send that to me. I can compile that and we can talk about something that's reasonable. I do, by the way, I do recognize the need for flexibility. Having more of you here is better for me, I think, for our productivity, but the world's busy and it's a big commitment. Trust me, I get that too, and I don't discount it.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Rob, you mentioned that you may be absent, from the meeting. Will you be virtual or will it be an alternate?
Well, that was my question, because, my wife has plans for me too, that. If in fact something comes up where I won't, we'll have to, I believe what we'll do is we'll cancel that session, but I've actually thought of, our big trip actually moved to September, so I don't know that it's an issue. But I did bring it up early on because it's a long stretch of regular gatherings, right? And I'm not lost, that's not lost on me. So I think we have a plan. I do want to be flexible with everyone. And I think we're all thinking the same thing, which is try to get into this room. If we really can't, we still want you involved on the exceptions basis. So does that work for that?
Sounds great.
Go ahead.
Is there a process for, like, if you had to cancel? Because it says 2 meetings a month, you'd have to be out of, you will poll everybody to see again if we had to replace a meeting.
So do you mean if you just can't attend a given meeting?
No, if something happened and we had to close down the building, we couldn't be.
Oh, okay, okay,
We had to cancel.
okay.
Does the resolution speak to that? We have a process.
That is a question I don't know the answer to.
The resolution simply.
Just so we can meet.
Supposed to have 2 meetings a month. Yeah, if there's emergency, and it's not. Sure. So give us. We need to, if, let's say Rob can't make it, we don't have quorum, then we should ideally reschedule that particular month to have another meeting.
Yeah.
Can I clarify, each member can miss 2 meetings or 3 meetings and then,
I think it's three disqualifies you from the group.
okay, you can miss 2, but if you're gonna miss a third, you're off. Okay.
That's 2 in a row. Oh, that's 2 in a row.
More than 2 meetings consecutively,
Right.
or more than 3 meetings in total.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
different, yeah.
That was part of it. Great. I do appreciate everything you're saying because I do realize it is again a big commitment. Hopefully, again, we just get productive and we start knocking this out and we have kind of an end post in mind, but we'll know better that next time. So I'm gonna keep going. Well, we kind of talked about all this. I was wrong about backfilling, my apologies. And we talked about times, we talked about it here. And invites have already been sent to your city email accounts. So that was, I did 2 series, Tuesdays, the first Tuesday and the second, because you can't break that into one. But that's all out there. Some of you have responded. I haven't digested what it looks like yet, but given the other requests, I'll just take all of that together and figure out where we are on that basis. So, and initially we thought the 24th of September was the last date for us to get our work done. It's the 17th of September, which means that our very last potential date for a meeting is the 9th. Yeah, I'd like to think secretly, I'm hoping we can do this a little bit sooner than that, but we'll know as a group together as we go forward. Okay, we talked about using email and getting arrested and all of that, so we're good on that. We have a SharePoint site. I was going to show it to you. Have you guys used SharePoint before? Some of you maybe. Okay, basically it's like a website where you store stuff, and I use it at work a lot. The whole benefit of this is it's basically our portal for us. It's our hub. Everything will be there. This presentation's there. The charter's there. The resolution's there. The decisions we make before and after Ken does his magic will all be chronicled there. Right now, it looks like this because I haven't had a chance to configure this thing. We were all moving very quickly, but it will be configured in a way that's easy to use. You'll see documents. You can go in. Minutes will be saved. Basically, anything and everything to do with our work will be in one place to make it really easy for you guys to get to. So next question, how do we get to it? I'll send everyone a link. You're already members of this. It's just that you probably haven't gotten an invitation. So I'll send you a link to this and you can basically access it. Also, if you want to use it for something we're not or expand it and make it better, just let me know. We'll work on that together. But the SharePoint will have everything here. that is relevant and to the point of what we need to do. It's not going to be compared to some SharePoints, it's going to be very simple, but that's okay. We have clear Band-Aid and we know what we can do. But this will all be out there. The other nice thing about this is if there's ever a need to share something, you send a link to a source file as opposed to email where, am I looking at the right version? Did the right people see this? So it's just a nice tool set, and you can always call me if you have any questions about using it. I'm here to help, and I can help you individually, unlike the other rules. So that's out there. I'll send you a link. Just one more you. Okay, so that's it. Yeah.
Do we
with this
do,
also-
are there minutes after every one of our meetings or summaries, or I'm just thinking about content for the SharePoint? Would that be in there?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
We're taking minutes for every meeting, and it will be saved into a minutes folder that will be very easy to find. I'm sort of I'm obsessive about making things easy for people, so every folder will be clearly labeled. You're not going to see rogue
Right.
files flying
Thank you.
around. Yes, absolutely. And it needs to be, we've got real work to do. Finding files is a part of that. I want to make it easy.
Will this also, speaking of making it easy, will this also be available to the public on the website we have for the CRC?
Good question. This is our internal site. But the site, you just prompted something, so thank you, Ronnie. The site where we talk about public comments coming through, we're working through a process to bundle those, drop them on SharePoint, so all of you can see all of the comments in one place in advance of our meetings. So we can just take it under advisement. We don't really know what the comments are going to be, if they really help us or not. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I want to come up with a really simple way for all of that and work with Sam to basically populate, and I'll notify you. I'm going to over communicate as in. I will do that. I've done it already. I will do it as we move forward. Once that's set up, I'll let you know where it is and where you can go in and see all of those public comments that come through. So no, this is just for us. The public facing site will have a conduit to this by virtue of that form that they can complete online. And I like the idea of pointing people to that, by the way. I'm running a big DR program at the county, and we set up something similar because if you have one funnel, you know what's all coming in one place. If you have four, it gets really hard to manage.
Aiming for the virtue of transparency, maybe this is a discussion for the group, and maybe there's a technical limitation, but would it be possible to get that out? So, if someone from the public, maybe they want to get cut off of some meetings, they want to check out some minutes, they want to see what people are talking about, the buzz in the comments. Is it possible to get that public facing?
I mean,
Open to the discussion if that'd be beneficial, or if we want to restrict that for some reason.
This may be related to that, but I just want to make sure, are our meetings webcast?
They're recorded, not live.
Not live, but then they are uploaded to the city.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Well, no. But they're recorded, right?
they won't be posted to YouTube. Okay, then that.
Well, upload, I thought you meant that it became a saved file. We do have saved recordings.
Right.
They're not, I don't think they're, Sam, these aren't, after we record a meeting, are those posted anywhere or are they just for our use?
So there's archive
Okay,
for public records.
okay, thank you.
So somebody can pull them though.
The question becomes,
We can access those, yeah.
how does the public follow what we're doing and of course from our conversations?
It's a public meeting.
But that's the only way.
As right now,
Make a public records request for the video.
It's kind of more, we have a lot of members of the public that like to be in the.
Sure, I'm not, it's not advocating against on this.
So we can change the rule, is what you're saying?
I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at. So I think the question on the table is entertaining something by which we share more than is currently being shared. And I think right now what we share, of course, is our agendas, our meeting schedule, our agendas. Do we post the minutes to the meetings?
We can on the
We can
webpage.
post the minutes to the website for people to read. Our recordings, I believe, are now for us to use if we wanted to go back to them, but currently aren't planned to be posted to the website. That's correct, right?
I think it could be.
I believe, technically, yes, but I want to make sure that that would be enough.
I think it's from the prior term.
Okay, so you're
Online.
okay.
So I don't see a problem with having them accessible to the public.
Mhm.
Our meetings, why wouldn't they have a full video if someone wanted to listen?
Sam, how are the videos held? Is it a file that you have or is it on YouTube?
Well, okay, so like our budget meeting that we hold every month, they're recorded, but they're not posted online.
Mhm.
it's still public record. If somebody wants a copy of the recording, they just put in a request and we give it to them.
Sure.
So there's no reason anybody can't have a copy of this video. They just have to ask for it.
So what I'm hearing is, this is just standard practice.
Right.
But it can be,
Typically, when you're gonna have something that's public facing like that, you'd have microphones throughout, you're gonna get a bit more
True.
professional in what you're putting out there. This is meant to be for the minutes purposes. We don't, at the moment, have the budget to go beyond that. We would certainly ask council if you want that.
Unless we run in council chamber.
Well, the availability of council chamber was a challenge. As well. So it's something that we can certainly take back and consider if you want to have something further. The idea of this was to be an advisory board where you're able to work together here as a group without glare of the other talking at all.
I think if standard practice is currently implemented for this board, maybe we can put the minutes out and, the type of minutes, but I'm respecting that, I heard you say that.
Do you feel okay with that? Or,
no, but.
no, please speak up.
Can we potentially put a link for the public records request? Make it easier. It's not the easiest thing to do to get through everything to get to the public records. Can we put a link on our site?
I think we can. I mean, we could allow for that. There's a process where if you make it easier, doesn't change it. There's a process that would be followed. So we could do that. And did you?
Yes, for me, like I'm all about like the ease of the process of getting to information.
Mhm.
So I understand not wanting to have the camera, I don't like having the camera put in my face either. But if I'm trying to explain to a group of people what I'm doing and then I say, okay, go here to
Yeah.
look this, that's what I do. I say, go here to find out more information.
Mhm.
And there's nothing for them to do except for look through pages and pages of minutes. They're not gonna do that. So I'm trying to figure out, I think for ease of access and be able to see what was discussed and, I just think having a video of this accessible would be the best. I know we don't have microphones and all things, but yeah.
Is that the camera?
It is.
It's
While we're talking. Yeah.
It is.
It is recorded.
Yes.
That is the camera, it is recording. Okay.
It's recorded.
It's gonna pick up the audio. That camera will pick up
Yeah.
the audio.
This,
Yeah.
this room is used for city council workshop
Right.
meetings, and in fact, when they were discussing
You know what they use.
the Charter Review Advisory Commission, they did it in here, and I was able to watch it after it was recorded, so I think technically the capability is there.
Yes, we are recording. And I believe it is, you can't hear people as well, doing
I mean,
this.
No, you don't need another camera. In other words, that's capturing, that's probably got a wide lens. So could you all look into this? I think, I'm hearing the consensus seems to be, let's make it easy for the public. They want to go on a link. They want to listen to the meeting. Why not?
Could Ms. Shanahan maybe comment on the quality of the audio that she is receiving, and if she can hear each of us acceptably, or if she's having trouble?
Bethany, can you hear us?
They upload that. They
Yeah,
upload
no, I
it.
can hear everybody loud and clear. The only
You can
thing
hear
I
them
would
loud and clear.
suggest is if we're gonna open these, can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
I was gonna say, I just, I can hear everybody loud and clear. I think until I get used to people's voices, I mean, I know some of the voices in the room, maybe we would self-identify ourselves, but yeah, whatever. I'm all for public access and public consumption and public participation. So whatever can legitimately be worked out with the technology stuff, I appreciate that as well. But yeah, I can hear you guys very well.
Thank you.
The other question would be is if we did do that and some of us had to, if we agree on remote participation, limited remote participation, would the person who is remote, would they be on the feed? Could you see them, hear what they're saying to us?
My understanding is yes, but I will confirm with our technology person who was helping us earlier. I think that's how he described it to me.
And you're saying live stream or you're saying just upload after? It's a live stream, okay.
Yeah, the council made the decision that they wouldn't have this be a live stream.
Can the public join this live stream right now?
No,
No.
they can attend in person.
Council limited you to 15 minutes of public comment. So,
In total for all commenters.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Tinkler, you mentioned there might be a financial component. Do you have any other information about that or?
Well, if we needed to have staff members here with microphones and things like that, if you're comfortable.
But you're not good. It's just.
If you're comfortable with Zoom, and the way it's set up right now, that I don't think there's an additional cost. It's
So-
really quality wise as to how we typically, meetings I work with, would have more microphones and all. It'll be on each of you then to self-identify and we'll come up with a process for you.
I agree with Mr. Dakota. This special call meeting was perfectly intelligible anyway.
I don't know the ins and outs or what is typical or atypical around making recordings available to the public. It sounds like you'd like for us to look at that as an option, is how we're hearing. I can't promise, I don't know all the constraints or rules, but I could learn pretty quickly if I talk to the right people.
But I think right here, that's the saying is, we want to ensure good public feedback to this group so that we can take that into consideration.
Right.
The public would likely be better informed if they're able to have quick access to the video of the meeting.
Yeah.
So I think our request as a group is that if the city's able to post a link on the city's website somewhere that's easily accessible, that would be our, is that?
Yeah, we make that motion.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we'll take an action to explore that, understanding that's the interest of the more transparent, in addition to what's already planned.
I would just request that the recordings be accessible to us internally on the SharePoint. Just without having to ask them if that's possible.
We should be able to do that without a problem. It's just a big file. We'll drop it into a recording folder for you. Yes, absolutely. I see a hand. No.
I have really big eyes, so if I'm looking like this, it's not because I have.
Like I said, see, I can do this on Teams. I can feel you talking to me in your eyes. All right, we'll look into that and appreciate the conversation, right? That's important. Because you're representing by extension, the public. So are we good on this? Like I said, I'll give you more info about SharePoint through your city email. Now, not to get techie, because I'm the last guy you want to ask techie questions to, but I discovered, so I have a county email. I discovered, if you already know this, please don't laugh at me loudly. You can, in your Outlook, your main Outlook, not your web Outlook, you can make it so that this account just lives below your other ones. So you're clicking here and see your stuff, you click here. I set that up kind of by accident, but it was a lot easier than going into the web, logging in separately. There's a way to kind of keep it, it's just another option in your main inbox. Or another inbox you can use. So ask for help for that if you don't know how. I don't even know how I did it, but it works really nice. And now I can go to my calendars in one place and click on, I want to see the city calendars, take that off, I see the county calendars. So whatever we can do to make it easier, because 2 emails is probably one more than we want. So we need to do it this way.
The cost is you're responsible for which email you're using. So if you accidentally start sending your own personal emails on a city account, they're going to be developer. You can't pull them back.
Yeah, just know what you're doing there. So that's on you. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, I mentioned at least 2 of you, brave souls, get a chance to step up. So we, by the resolution, need to select a chair and a vice chair. And this role really is administrative. We call meetings to order, roll calls, initiate motions, the standard stuff, right? That'll allow for us to do some of what we've been talking about around things like we want a consensus vote before we changes. We can have the chair make that motion and go through the process. Does anyone have a really burning desire to be the chair of this esteemed commission? Or a vice chair? You might end up in the first category if you raise your hand on the second.
I think a nomination.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, we need 2 people one way or another, so.
I'd like to nominate Stephen Benson for chair.
Okay.
If you accept it.
I decline.
I'm going to nominate Ashley Mora.
Nominate Ron Cristaldo here.
Got 2 nominations.
And Ron is fantastic, but your family might need to miss. Or zero till then that would be complicated. That is my own concern, because obviously you've done it before. And kind of we're stuck.
I mean, the responsibilities just a tiny bit more than all the real work and hard work should be doing. But it's procedural and it is important when it comes to things that,
Robert, do you accept? Robert. I said,
so I guess.
No, I'm sorry, I can't hear who's nominating.
It's actually-
I'd like to nominate Ron Cristaldi.
Yes, I think what she's saying, Kathleen, is that she accepts being nominated.
Right.
Kathleen, I appreciate you. I think you nominated me. I'd be happy to serve if the group thinks that I would be effective serving. I didn't mean to suggest that I won't be attending at all the meetings. If I'm able to attend by video when I'm out, I can do that. And I've chaired a number of different organizations, including the Chamber of EDC and different parts. So I've done it before, but I have a lot of confidence in Ashley as well.
So we have one nomination for Ashley to be chair. Any nominations for vice chair?
Just to be clear,
You were nominated. Did you accept or?
yeah, Kathleen's nominated.
Okay.
So we have two.
Nominations. Good, and accepted. Does anyone else want to throw his or her hat into the ring? So how about for chair before we move to vice chair? So we have two nominations for that. So I think procedurally we take a vote.
All in favor of-
Yeah, so all in favor of Ashley being the chair?
Just make sure my resume too.
Sorry,
I gotta run down my resume too, because I didn't get the campaign.
This is huge.
Okay,
I think you're gonna be amazing.
okay.
Yeah.
Are you a show of hands?
Yeah, show of hands supporting the nomination of Ashley for chair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Show of hands for Ron being chair. 1, 2, 3. Ashley takes it. So you are our chair.
And
We need to do
Don't hold it against me. I just was going on as prior. I think you're gonna be wonderful.
Well, we need to take a motion to formalize this.
No, you're good there.
Okay, we have Alan self-nominating for vice chair. Is that how that works? Or can someone nominate Alan?
You need a nomination.
All right, Bill is nominated Alan, and any other vice chair nominations to speak of? If not,
I'd be happy to serve as vice chair.
okay, we have two. We need someone to nominate Kathleen for.
We can't do a self-nomination.
So Ron has nominated you for vice chair, Kathleen. So anyone
Okay,
else,
I
we do a show of hands on this? Okay, so all in favor of Alan being vice chair, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All in favor of Kathleen being vice chair. 1. Alan, you are now our vice chair. Thank you. Look at us moving forward. We're good. Congratulations. Thank you guys for your help in advance.
How about an acceptance speech?
Joe.
Fine dinner next week.
Okay, success. Thank you. Thank you. That was easy. I want to talk about prepare for our next meeting and also ask if you want to do the procedural vote on the consensus versus majority. Either, let me ask that now. Would you like to take a vote on that right now? Or would you like it to be the first thing we discuss when we reconvene on the 10th?
My suggestion is first thing when we come back together.
And
Yeah, that's all I want a little bit. Yeah, one thing I did, you give the lawyer a chance to read a little bit more, it helps. Section A, section 1A, the Charter Review Commission shall review the Tampa Home Rule Code of 1975 as amended and propose any amendments or revisions by majority vote, which may be advisable for placement on the ballot. I think you have a limitation there. We were getting into B as far as 2/3 and all that. I think we have to go back to council the way that's written. So
I would suggest you do, because I think if you look.
I'm aware of the other section.
Yeah, I think if you look at 4H, we make our rules.
You
And it's
make your
clear
rules.
this about
As to administrative functions.
duties of the Charter Review Commission. So.
So what I suggest is we bring back next time.
The
anything you
title,
want to
you
take
guys,
down.
the title for that set of objectives did not say the rules. The title on that page said objectives was not rule. It's an outline. That's just reading off of the notes that were given to us.
I think if the
Yeah,
interpretation.
Can we-
what I suggest?
Can you pause? I just want to make sure one at a time, guys, because you've got, Kevin, you can't see us, and I know that's a challenge. This is part of the challenge of the virtual
Yes.
the real world that I talked about. And it's no fault of Kathleen because she can't see everyone. Can you finish your thought, Ken?
Please.
And then
Yeah.
give it.
What I'd suggest is next time we have an initial discussion, have a chance to read through the resolution, all of what the city council has done here. And anything, including the meeting schedule and all that, anything you feel the need as a group to go back to council about for clarification, we can do so. We're in an odd situation with the charter sets out, council gets to set these parameters and they've now empowered you to be this group. I'm concerned though, if the first sentence leads off that way. I was focused on section B, which got to 2/3 and everything else. Section A is pretty clear.
I appreciate the advice. My suggestion is that if we're gonna go back to council, we do it today because we're gonna lose 2 weeks and then we're gonna have to go back to council and we don't know offhand when the next council meeting is. And then we're gonna be potentially reviewing and voting on things next meeting. We won't know, we won't have certainty on that. So I feel fairly strongly that majority vote could send very mixed signals on recommendations and that we ought to debate and discuss that today and take a vote today.
If I could respond, you're not going to be voting on things until you get to the
Yeah, I
end.
appreciate your advice, but that's my opinion.
Understand?
Mr. Taylor, I think it's a matter of like getting an item before council, or is this something that you could discuss with the chair? Like, what would be your process for clarifying this issue?
Yeah, the chair doesn't speak for the council. The chair operates, that's the chair of the council. We would need to have a request. If you were asking for a revision of the resolution, it has to be the same process that it went through in the first place.
We're asking for interpretation of the resolution.
The way I read it at the moment, my advice to you is you need a revision of the resolution.
Okay.
Because I think the last
Says to do that.
we would make request of council. That's why I was saying,
Okay.
if you're going to make multiple requests, it may be easiest to consolidate. We can take them all one at a time if you want.
I'm all for consolidating, whatever the most efficient on.
My concern is most of you, I doubt, have read the full resolution yet. So I want all that input as to other changes. I understand where certainly you have.
So which way would the information flow? So what I mean by that is, would it be more beneficial for council to hear our perspective on how we would choose to operate and then they say yes or no? Or are we waiting for them to give a directive to tell us how to operate and then we form our procedures within those boundaries?
Right, it would have to be done as part of the public meeting on the council side, so you'd have the opportunity to address them as any other member of the public.
So we are discussing whether we want to go the consensus route or the majority route
Or super majority.
or super majority.
Right now it's majority,
Right now, it's-
so it's either supermajority or consensus as a requirement for our
Yes, sorry.
discuss changes to make it.
Right, this is just for the
Yes.
proposal that goes to council.
okay.
In the pieces they're in, correct?
Correct.
So if they're talking about a specific piece of the charter. And let's say they're not, again, as a facilitator, majority makes us keep moving, but maybe doesn't make us happy about it. So that's what you all talked about. That's what you're suggesting it.
So let's have a discussion amongst the council members, because my feeling is that it would be unusual advisory commission like this to make recommendations on majorities. And I feel like it would be a much less productive meeting next meeting if we do something that we have to kind of come back and review it, because our charge from city council, I think the interpretation is done for the council. Is that council interprets this meaning the resolution of this meeting, we can make recommendations based on the majority. I personally think it should be unanimous, a consensus, as I stated earlier, unanimous with caveat that at least there's at least 6 people at the meeting. I'm open to discussion of whether it should be majority. I personally feel like leaving it as a mistake. I would suggest we pass a resolution or pass a motion asking city council to change that.
This is something I thought about before we had this meeting, how are we gonna move items forward? And what I gathered is, from this point, you're gonna go to city council, ask for clarification from them so they can update the resolution, but we as individual citizens have the responsibility to insert or provide our opinion to the council members.
I would need direction.
Director.
Right, I would need direction from the street. Right, as to how you want to make this.
So the answer to my question earlier, I think, Ron, if I interpret what you said correctly, what we would have to determine what we would like, that we were saying, and then send that to council, which you would.
Right, we had a conversation, but I don't know that everyone had an opportunity to chime in on this issue. It might be good to understand that we all really are in consensus on consensus, voting or not. And I don't see why, if we get to a point to agree that that's the way we move forward. Would you require a motion to bring it to city council to formalize that?
If you want to formalize a restriction on yourself as to if something only gets a majority vote, it's not going to council, then I think we need to amend what the council's task is for
Or
you.
you meant unanimous?
At the moment, you're in the majority.
Right.
That's,
So if we change it to unanimous and somebody is like, no, then we just can't move forward with that. And
correct. No,
I
that's,
agree with that.
right, that's what.
That's the phrase.
And to be clear, there's nothing that suggests that any one of us has a right to communicate with city council independently. We could go to public comment, for instance, and say, we disagree, group, we think this ought to happen. So it's not to suggest that the dissenter won't have any voice, just to suggest that what's in the final report would be a consensus of the entire group.
Let me make a suggestion, right? And consensus is, as you just pointed out, means unanimous, right? That's that's pretty easy, unanimous. And I hear divergent, that doesn't sit right with me. I got you. Majority doesn't sit right with me. Okay, so what about, and I'm just telling you, Constitution Revision Commission of the state of Florida, this is exactly how we handle this. It's a 2/3 vote. That means 6 of 9 have got to vote for a resolution before it goes to the city council. I think it's a good compromise between the two. That's something I would be comfortable with. Understand.
That doesn't make sense to me, the unanimous, but right now it's majority and there are 7 people in here, it could be 4 or 3. But you were saying 6.
Or 5-4. Yeah,
You would need.
like I said, it would probably, if we got to a contentious topic, it would be easier for me to invoke that to move forward. But like I said, it wouldn't create a sense that we're aligned, and it could leave a lot of people unhappy about the process. Whereas if you go full consensus, that is a constraint, which could mean very little gets agreed. We only have 3 or 4 ideas by the end of this. I'm just exaggerating. And then we have a majority, more of a super majority concept, which is splitting the two.
The more consensus we have, the more powerful it's going to be.
Correct.
Period in the story. So if we're sending things up 5-4, that's sending an awful message upstream.
Point of information for Mr. Tinkler, you referenced earlier that maybe many of us have not read through the entire resolution, and you requested that we do so to provide comment on whatever issue we might find important or worthy of the comment or change. Are we putting the cart in front of the horse by having this discussion about majority right now, or what is the process by which we would alert you of our desired changes if there are any?
Well, the reason for the suggestion is to go to council as a whole with any changes you find.
So how do we package that for you?
We would set a meeting item for next time, for all of you to bring your comments. We put them together. You may pass a motion directing us to go back. The alternative is you can go on just this topic and we can take it from there if there's a majority that wants to do so. It just seems early to me, given you won't be voting to firm up anything for probably several months.
We intended on considering things next meeting.
So my thought was, we get into a chapter of the charter and we're talking about something. In my mind, I would use, if we use the 6 rule, the 2/3, if we couldn't, I want us all to get there. But if we can't, and we're just not making progress, at some point, I guess that requires a motion and a vote, and then we say, yep, it made the 6 rule, check, it goes in the yes box. So I think we would be using it as a tactical measure to parse out the individual topics we discuss and make sure they get added, what I've described as the inventory of decision. We will still have another chance at the end to review that in its entirety.
What do you,
But I think we can't just wait to the end because the pieces have to be agreed to before the end can be.
what do you?
Can you go over that? Go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you. I agree with the point that we should have a list for city council. And I think at least some of the people here know it's a couple, two, I don't know, three, I lost track of members at city council were on the charter review and they made a conscious decision not to do it that way. And so I think if we put everything together and maybe come up with a compromise, I think they're very willing to listen. And if we said, we think that this will facilitate it better, but they didn't just pull this stuff out with no idea how the charter review goes. They had a discussion about it based upon their own experience. And they didn't necessarily want to throttle the charter review, I believe, I don't want to speak for them, as much as they felt throttled. And again, I don't want to speak for them, that was my perception of it. However, I would like to think that they would be open to some feedback on that, but I think just like, I think we should do it in one swoop with our suggestions and let them feel like we put some thought to it, rather than just kind of shooting out the neighborhood. Like that's my.
Have people not read the resolution? Like, the people have other changes that they think?
Well, we were talking about
Meeting day.
meeting dates, maybe not meeting all the way until September.
Meetings.
Well, we talked about meeting times shifting potentially, but that's agreed.
The meetings.
Talk about the virtual.
The building. Does anybody care if it's changed the?
I'd left 5:30, but I don't care.
Earlier, so.
So there might be some,
I
there
knew
might be a
you
future
can't do
there.
it, so I'm like 6.
Yeah, but if we can't, yeah, right, if we can't make 5:30, I'm okay, but it just
Nice.
makes it easier to walk over, get on with one. That's what I was going at.
So are we
So I think
having a conversation now that we should be having at the beginning of our next meeting? We have all of our ideas.
That's what I was suggesting, but
I can do.
that's just my thought. I'm gonna stop.
well, on a practical basis, or to your point, Ron, well, we certainly can't know if it's going to make it to on the list or not, because we won't have a mechanism, right? Right now, it's majority. If that changes to
What
soon,
I'm saying is, I would be uncomfortable voting on any charter discussion. It's not procedural item.
Right.
Until we resolve this issue. And we should try to figure out, because this could put us back 4 to 6 weeks. We don't, it's got to get on agenda for city council. The agenda gets set, what, council 10 days before. the meeting?
I mean, the other, we can walk this particular issue on. This is, you want to move forward.
When is the next?
I mean, charter, your appointments will walk on. They're the last.
Yeah.
Yes, if we did it today, would be considered Thursday, could be considered Thursday, if you're able to walk it off. If we don't do it today, whatever meeting is after our next meeting. And we won't be able, I mean, we could, right, we could vote, but I'm just saying that I would feel uncomfortable leaving this as an open issue and voting on charter amendments in the meantime.
Is it a suggestion just to handle that one point tonight?
That's my suggestion.
Yeah. Does, it was mentioned tonight that it's more powerful to go to council with a unanimous or supermajority. Does council see how many members voted for each resolution?
Yes, the voting is something that's tracked in part of the minutes.
I know who voted,
Right.
you know, which of us voted, how many voted.
Yeah.
And it's more powerful, right?
I think it's always gonna be.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
One risk you run with like a majority vote, for instance, is then all these little votes go away. So if, for instance, you feel very, very passionately no on one piece of it, and I feel passionately no on another piece of it, it's possible we go through the whole process, get to the vote on the final report with everything compiled. We don't have enough votes to pass it at that point because there's things that got in there that 4 people on each one of them don't like. That's the risk as I see it as we progress, which is why having a greater vote, 6, 7, unanimous, anything in that thing, it forces us to work through the issues and reach a consensus at the time, and not just do a 5-4 vote and having more people unhappy with everything.
I see what you're saying, but I think Ashley and Bill came together and decided the majority was to be compromised. I actually.
I think you're totally fine with
I
that.
think unless the sky is blue, right, it's probably not gonna be unanimous. So if someone wants to bring up a motion to do a super majority, I would second that.
That's my question. Would we have concurrence on that solution?
What do you guys think about a 3/4 would be 7 out of 9? That would allow 2 people could be 7. Mine would be 6, but still one more than.
My thinking on this was, I see the process as a series of filters. So we are one filter, we're obviously, bubbling up the ideas, we're having the in-depth discussion section by section. Council's gonna be another filter, the mayor's gonna be another filter, the public is gonna be the final filter. So in my mind, I feel like we should have the lowest threshold for ideas to cross into the next level, so that those discussions, in a broad sense, for whatever variety of ideas might be expressed, could be considered, and then work their way through the filtration system, if we're going to use that analogy. So I would, if we're going to do some level of super majority, I would vote for the 6 to 6 majority.
I'm good with 6.
I'm good with.
I'm good with 6.
Does anyone have any material concerns with 6?
2/3.
Yeah.
2/3.
How many are on the board? How many are appointees? Sorry, I've had my hand up for a while. From at the back of the camera.
We
Are
have
there
9.
9 people on the committee?
Yeah, we have 9.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm either for a supermajority or unanimous consent. Otherwise, I just think they'll be not effective.
I want to get Stephen a chance. Oh, you guys, I think you were going to say something, Stephen.
I would like clarification on the interpretation, your interpretation of what the current. So is the current one says majority vote? Correct. And that is your interpretation. That's, we would need an action by council to change it.
Right, and that's what we're asking.
Then I support 6.
It's just one more.
What we would need is a motion.
So
I'm still moved.
I'll second it. The motion is that we build, but I understood your motion, but I just seconded it. It'd be that we formally ask city council to amend the ordinance to require a
2/3 vote for any recommendation.
There's a 9, let's be specific, so they don't misinterpret the 2/3, but it's 6 at the time overall setting.
Yep.
I'll second that.
That's in the resolution, not the.
Yes, sorry. Thank you.
Is there a minimum attendance requirement?
It's up to you all, but
Can
I
I
think
ask one question, one clarification question for that? If you have to, it has to be of the whole group. It can't just be of who's in the room. That's a question, not a statement, sorry.
I think what Bill, again, I don't mean to put words in his mouth. If we say minimum of 6 votes to send it, that resolves the quorum question. Otherwise, we could have 2/3 of 5.
If we're sending a resolution for our city council to consider, spend a lot of time, all 9 of us should be voting on it. We should make certain we all are either on that screen or in this room. I think we can all come into that, right? I mean, and if there happens to be that one meeting where Bobby and Bill can't make it, and we have our, you could put that one resolution to the next meeting, where we should all be raising our hands. Making our opinions known.
So it would be a minimum of 6.
No, we need for that.
We have a motion, second, so
Can
you,
I ask one other question? I'm sorry, can I ask one other question? Is the Charter Commission a completely independent commission, or is it totally subservient to the city council? I know our work gets sent to the city
Right.
council.
I wouldn't have phrased it either way.
In
It
terms
is,
of- Okay,
right, it is a creature of city ordinance and city resolution. It has appointments from the council, and appointments from the mayor. But it is purely an advisory board.
so I just want to make sure we're not setting the precedent every time we have a question, we have to go back to the city council.
But on this
With all due
one,
respect to their role.
on this one, the council, I think, is clear as to their direction. If the council is unclear, I think it falls into your own ability to make rules and all. But this one is section 1. So it's something that you're, as I understand the motion, and this would be now, Madam Chair, to call a vote, is to ask the city council to amend that provision of the resolution to require 6 affirmative votes in order to make a recommendation back to the city council. Am I correct?
On the motion. Oh, how was the
You,
one?
you would simply say those in favor?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
The clerk needs to get names, so
Unanimous.
please raise your hands and it's everybody.
Kathleen said aye too. So
Aye.
it's everyone, it's everyone. Unanimous. Good.
Just one question after the fact. We can send this to the city council and they can say no.
And I think our consensus, just in discussion, is it's not foreclosing our ability to ask.
Right, this seems to be by some
Pretty important thread.
significant. Yeah, this is a big issue. The other ones are not housekeeping, but more how we want to give you a lot more flexibility in the
Recording
meetings. Fine.
So Mr. Tinkler, as a walk-on for this, would you do a walk-on for this one particular issue we just voted on?
What, they don't have that power. What I'm gonna do as soon as we're done here is call the city council attorney and let them know what has been transpired here, and the request is to walk this on as fast as possible.
Gotcha.
So
So we may have.
you may have this, or you may not.
Yes.
Right.
And at that point, for your recommendation earlier at the next meeting, if there's any other little things that we want to touch on at that
Right.
point, because we've got the big thing.
The key other restriction is the fact they required you to meet twice a month. If that seemed to have some resistance in the group, if you want to go back and change that, that's something to think about in the future.
But for now, I think we'll agree. Let's see how we're doing, make sure we're making progress
Right.
before we dive into our schedule. At least in the beginning stages is what I thought we were up with there. Our next meeting actually is a bigger gap. It's, I think, 3 weeks. It's the 10th of February, I believe. So that may give us the time to run, to have this to ground. But
Was the other one publicly posting the videos if we're gonna start next week? With the next, meeting, that the next.
I think we took an action to, I think we took an action on that item to make sure that, I don't know if the, well, we don't have experience with doing that. We need
To find out things.
yeah, I mean, I think we just need to learn a little bit. I think to do. No. I think there's an interest in this group, find out what we'll come back with. And make it happen. But I just want to make sure I talk to everyone who's a part of it.
Sign their oath and leave them with me.
Yes.
You can vote out.
Both copies.
And what about?
Sign them and then I'll burn them.
Okay. Before we break up, before we break up real quick.
Allison has a question.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. It's just difficult to see you.
I just one last question to clarify. So if y'all are discussing something, and I have an opinion, which I always do, I can only share an opinion during public comments, correct? Because I'm just the only thing to see it.
As far as I'm concerned, that's correct.
Okay. This means I get the end. Sorry.
Look at something that we could do in our request for council. Could we break up that 15 minutes if there are 2 people here beginning in,
She can't make a comment during public comment at the beginning of the meeting about something said during the meeting, public comment.
There's public comments in the
Maybe you
beginning,
could do it on both ends.
in the beginning.
Do it at the beginning, do it at the end too. Give everybody too much at the end.
And there's always,
Bother me.
right. Just going back to this real quick. We're gonna focus on the first few sections of the charter next time. I may refine my thinking there. I just haven't had time to really digest how I want to break it up, as I mentioned. But you're going to read everything anyway, but in particular, the beginning sections are the ones I want to focus on. Wait for more from me, but that's a good place to start. And again, just monitor your city emails. Otherwise, I think we've covered everything else. And just, I know you're gonna send me this, just show of hands, who's gonna attend February 10th in person? Is anyone not attend? You can. Kathleen, can you be here on the 10th?
Sure.
Yep. I just want a sense for it. Because
Yes,
it's
I can.
important. It's a part of it. Yep.
It's a Wednesday. Yeah, I can make
It's a
it.
Tuesday. The second and fourth Tuesday.
It's February 11th.
10th.
Excuse me.
It always will be the second and fourth Tuesday.
I got you.
I think we're good for everyone being here, so that's great.
That helps, because that's what we really.
This is gonna be online for us to see what you're focused on.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. This is already saved on the SharePoint site. We will get the video saved for us for sure. We'll look into what it takes to get it onto the public domain. That was it for, I think that's it for me. Hold on. Okay,
What about the real estate?
so we need the oath signed, we talked about. But you just,
You can go that out and bring it back at the next meeting.
There you go, man. Thank you.
and then I think we need the chair to formally adjourn, right? Chair, actually,
Did you?
can you close the meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Okay.
We did that. I second.
Moved and properly seconded.
Are there any?
Are there any objections?
Yeah.
There being none, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Good to meet everyone. Thank you. Thank you. We're gonna have some fun.